Welcome to the Siege Podcast, a weekly show where the Siege guys break down this week's college games from a betting perspective, give you tools and information you'll need before placing your bets, and give you picks of their own. Be sure to follow them on Twitter at PicksSiege. Now, here are the Siege guys, Devin Hadley, Jordan Hadley, James Roth, and your host, Travis Harris.
And welcome back to another episode of the Siege Podcast. I'm really sad to say this is the last week of the NCAA football regular season. We've had a lot of fun talking college football this season with you guys. The season has just flown by, but you know what they say, time flies when you're winning. Speaking of winning, Siege went 4-1 last week for our VIP clients, winning a net positive 3.5 units in college football. For those keeping track at home, that's 8 out of our last 9. Get all of our conference championship and bowl plays for just $25. Hit us up on Twitter at PickSiege to purchase. So let's look back at last week, guys. What do we take away? What surprised us? I'll start because I only have one thing to say, and that's I'll never, ever, ever bet with my heart again. Got torched taking Sparty as underdog pick last week, and as James likes to say, I was double pissed since my team lost and my bet lost. Just an ugly, ugly, ugly game last week. I ended up having to go to my grandpa's birthday party Saturday. And before I walked out of the house to go there, I took all my Michigan State stuff off because I was just too embarrassed to go anywhere in public wearing that. Just nasty. And I definitely learned my lesson on that one. James, how about you? Thoughts on last week?
Yeah, I mean that game, we all kind of saw it coming here on the podcast. I mean, we had a feeling it wasn't going to be close. I am surprised it got out of hand that quickly. I knew it wasn't going to end up being close, but I was surprised whatever that number was at halftime. That was, I don't know. And then just the fact that State just completely went away from Walker. I don't know if he was dinged up or what happened there, but it just it got sideways on him quick, and they just shut him down, it looked like. So that was a weird situation. But of course, Ohio State, big game this week against Michigan, so I'll talk about that later. But I guess my other takeaway would be shout out to Utah and the Utes getting it done against Oregon and actually rolling them. So shout out to them getting that done. I did not want to see Oregon in the playoffs. I know I'm not the only one that was thinking that, but I am happy for the Utes. They got that done. So that's all really I have to say.
Yeah, I think I speak for all of us when I say that we did not want to see Oregon in the playoff. So actually rankings just came out about an hour ago. You're looking at Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, and Cincinnati. So Cincinnati did get that 4th spot. Real quick, first thoughts. Anyone have anything on these rankings? Go ahead, Jeff.
I think you said this earlier to us in our group chat, but Bama over Notre Dame could be a little iffy. I mean, does Bama even have better wins than Notre Dame? I don't know. They've lost to undefeated Cincinnati. Bama lost to Texas A&M. Notre Dame, their loss was a little bit better per se. But I don't think it really matters because Bama's going to have to beat Georgia to get in. So I think Notre Dame, if they win this week, they have a good chance of getting in the playoff. It'll be interesting to see what the committee does. But to me, it's, everything relates back to Bama and Georgia in 2 weeks. If Bama can beat them, they're obviously in. But if they're not going to put Bama in with 2 losses. So either Oklahoma State or Notre Dame will come out in that 4 seed, I think, or 3 seed.
Or Michigan done this week.
Yep, but then Ohio State would be out as well. So one Big Ten team, maybe a Big 12 if Oklahoma State wins out, and then Notre Dame and Cincy are the only possibilities.
What if
it's all going to play out here in the next 2 weeks? So we'll just.
What if Oklahoma wins out? They're still undefeated, right? Oh no, they lost a bit. lost to Baylor. Never mind.
Yeah. I mean, would a one-loss Oklahoma Big 12 champion get in over Notre Dame? Possibly. Just because they're a conference champion. That would be interesting as well. But
Yeah, I think that would
it's
be the
all gonna
worst
play
case
out.
scenario for Notre Dame. That's worst case scenario for Notre Dame if that happens.
Yeah, well-
They're big fans of whoever Oklahoma State and all them play right now because they do not want to see a one-loss Big 12 champion.
No. Well, we all know the committee is going to they would love to put Notre Dame in the playoff. They always do. It's a
Yeah.
moneymaker.
I would just like to see Alabama not in it. But I think that'd be the first time ever, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah,
Believe so.
that's right.
Yeah, that'd be great. They've
Okay.
had their. Well, sorry to digress. I remember seeing those as I was scrolling through before we jumped on to record the show. So I just want to talk about it quick. Dev, let's keep it rolling with you. Thoughts on last week?
Yeah, first thing that jumps out other than Sparty getting curb stomped is Wake Forest. Very disappointed in them. I thought they'd go into Clemson and win, and Clemson kind of steamrolled them, to be honest. They just dominated from start to finish. Really surprising there. I thought Wake would score a lot easier. I knew Clemson would score a little bit, but to put up 42 points or something on Wake, that's embarrassing. Clemson, their offense is awful. They haven't scored on anyone all year. And they come out, DJ Ooga Booga, whatever his name is, the quarterback for Clemson. He had he was on one leg and, he puts up 42 points on Wake. That's embarrassing. Wake is not very good. Sam Hartman got exposed by a good defense. And I'm just disappointed in them.
Yeah, DJ, not only did he put up 42 points on one leg, but he was running all over the field on them with one leg. We saw many times, especially against Army, how porous this Wake Forest defense was. But I'm with you, Dev, on how disappointing that game was. I mean, all they had to do was win, right? And they make their first ACC championship in a very long time. And they couldn't get it done. It was just a battle of coaching. Clearly Clemson is a much better coach team. Wake didn't get it done, and that was a bummer. But no, good thoughts there. Jordan, how about you?
Yeah, I said I love the board last week, and we all had a great day, especially Siege. Shout out to the Island boys in Hawaii getting it done, winning outright. Shout out to Oregon State winning, and also Utah. So those late games are pretty big for us as well. Finished strong. I was impressed with Notre Dame and Cincinnati trying to make statements, fighting for those playoff spots. And I think they both roll this week and trying to get some style points for the committee. So definitely looking at those two games, especially the Cincinnati game. That's a big one for them, only being 2 touchdown favorites against East Carolina, who's been playing well. But I think they're going to have to roll this week to, try to make a statement. So we've been saying that the last few weeks, but they finally did it last week against a decent SMU team. So, looking forward to another good week.
Yeah, I like Cincinnati a lot this week too. I was on them big last week for the same thought reasoning. They're looking to make a statement. They're going to need to do it again this week. So I'll be taking them again. So let's move on and look at this week. We have 3 ranked matchups. We already talked Michigan. They're +8 at home against Ohio State. Ole Miss is +1.5, 1 depending on the book at Mississippi State. That game's on Thursday, and then Oklahoma +4 at Oklahoma State, which is going to be a huge game, as we kind of already discussed when we're talking about the rankings. I don't have any thoughts on Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I don't know if you guys do or not, but I am surprised at the spread for the Ohio State Michigan game. I think that did open at 7. Kind of shocked that it's not in double digits, just by how well Ohio State has looked ever since that loss to Oregon. Granted, Michigan has looked really well too, and they looked really, really good this last Saturday. But man, this is this just seems like Ohio State is just rolling on all cylinders, and they're not in the same tier as Georgia, but maybe just below currently. And we talked about this, us guys for Siege, and we're not sending any play out for this game. But I unfortunately can't watch a game without betting it anymore, so I have to take something because I really want to watch this game. So I lean Ohio State here -8. Do you guys have any thoughts on this game or these other featured games this week?
Oh, the thing with that spread, Trav, is I think the books and the committee recognize that they think Michigan was the better team than Michigan State, despite the final score in that game. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is, I'm trying to take my fandom bias out of it, but Michigan technically, I mean, you look at their team, they're built to be able to, beat Ohio State. If you look at what they do, they like to run the ball. That means that they would have time of possession on their side. They'd keep Stroud and that offense off the field. They had on defense, they can get pressure. Stroud was literally just able to stand there all day against State and just throw it wherever he wanted and just expose their secondary. So, I'm not saying that Michigan's going to do it. I mean, we've seen Michigan, get rolled by them year after year. So I'm not saying they're going to do it, but I'm just saying if you look at the way the team is built and what they want to do, they have the formula to do it. It's just whether or not, things can go their way and they can make things happen to do it. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's a rivalry game. As we know, the best team doesn't always win. So anything can happen, but that's just my take on it, is that they have the formula. It's just whether or not they can execute.
Yeah, good point. And Michigan's D-line, they're good. I mean, they've got a couple guys who are going to go first round, maybe second round, early second round at the latest. Definitely way different from Michigan State's defense and defensive line, that's for sure. Deb, I know you were shaking your head. Yes, you have some thoughts on one of these games or some of them?
Yeah, I lean Michigan +8, honestly. I don't think they win, but it wouldn't surprise me if it comes down to a last possession. McNamara turns it over or some shit like that. But I think Michigan matches up pretty well with Ohio State. I mean, go back, was it 3 or 4 weeks ago? Ohio State went into Nebraska, who I think has a very good defense. And Nebraska gave them a hell of a fight. They had the ball down 6, had a chance to take the lead. And Martinez does what he does and pissed on his leg. And Michigan, to me, getting more than a touchdown is the play at home. Rivalry game. Weird things happen in this game sometimes. I mean, was it 2011? No, not even 2011. 2013 with Devin Gardner. Michigan was awful. And they took Ohio State down to 2 overtimes, went for 2 and didn't get it. I mean, there's been some fluke type scores in these games, and recency bias. I think the public's going to be on Ohio State. I love to fade the public. I'll probably take Michigan for a unit, nothing crazy, but that's where I lean.
Yeah, that sounds good. You might have talked me into Michigan, honestly. I didn't have much of a thought either way. Just knew I had to bet something because I'm going to be watching it at noon on Saturday. Jordan, anything you want to touch on either of these games before we move forward?
I'd say the game I think will be the best game out of all of them is the Oklahoma State game. A lot riding on it for Oklahoma State, but I think that's going to be a back and forth. Maybe not as high scoring as previous matchups, but I think it's going to be a battle. Oklahoma State's getting, they're favored by 3.5. It's
up to 4.
4, yeah. I was gonna say I originally liked Oklahoma State, but you never know with Big 12 games. We've seen a lot of crazy things happen in the previous weeks, so looking forward to that one.
Yeah, me too. And I can't remember which one you said it when we first started, but Notre Dame fans and that whole Notre Dame team is going to have their eye on this one closely for sure. So stop me if you've heard me say this before, but I'm really looking forward to a huge Conference USA game this week. We've got UTEP and UAB. UAB minus 13.5 point favorite at home. That UTEP UTSA game a few weeks ago goes UTEP's way. And this very well could be a Conference USA championship preview. I think it's going to have a championship type feel to it. I'm going to lean UAB here just because they're playing really well again now, and UTEP's kind of fallen off a little bit. I think being at home will help them tremendously. But I think this is going to be a fun game to watch, especially for how Conference USA looks. Do you guys have any other games you want to highlight this week that you're looking forward to?
I don't, but why do we highlight UTEP every week? I swear we talk about them at length every single week. Shout out David Warner.
They've won me and a lot of you on this podcast a lot of money. We've been tailing those picks, especially early on. That's why, I guess. It's like watching them play now.
For sure.
Trav, I do want to say something about the LSU game, Coach O's last game at home. Definitely looking forward to that for sure. They got Jimbo Fisher and A&M fighting for a bowl game, so I think their players will be hyped up for sure, trying to make a bowl win. So, yeah, go Tigers.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jordan. We talked a little bit about it last week, but even more so this week. Does this play into effect? You've got teams with 5 wins looking for that magic number 6 win to make them bowl eligible. I know some of our locks of the week this week has a couple of those teams in them looking for that 6th win. We love that in a betting spot here. So keep that in mind as you're making your bets this week. So let's take a look at our underdog picks of the week. Jordan, you want to get us started?
Yeah. Going back to the well with Louisiana Monroe. They've been well to me. They've covered twice as an underdog. So let's go with them getting 22 against the Asian Cajuns.
Yeah, a little state rivalry. That'll be an interesting one, especially as a 22.
I like the rivalry spot, so I got to take the points.
Go Warhawks.
Yeah.
James, how about you?
I'm going to go with the matchup, Florida State and Florida. Florida just fired their coach. Florida State, 5 wins. Both teams have 5 wins, so they're both battling for bowl eligibility. But Florida State seems to have a little bit more juice. Florida really showing I think they basically called it quits. It looks like, besides their close epic battle with Samford the other day, they've been losing games left and right. So I think Florida State, they beat Miami, just beat Boston College. I think they're going to roll into this game on feeling pretty confident, feeling pretty good, and I'm going to take them getting +3. It's at Florida, but this game doesn't matter. It's in Gainesville. That I think Florida is basically calling it quits on the year. So I'll take the Seminoles +3.
I like that a lot. I'm gonna have to tail that with you. I'm gonna have to sprinkle that money line too.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Dev, how about you?
Yep, I'm on Kansas State +3 at Texas. Why is Texas favored right now over anyone? They're in absolute shambles. They're not as in much disarray as Florida is right now because Sarkisian's first-year head coach. He's not going to get fired, but Texas is dead. Obviously, they're not back. Haven't been back. They shouldn't be favored against anyone right now. I'll take K-State, who's a solid team, well-coached team, getting 3 points at Texas. You kidding me? Sprinkle money line, hammer them +3.
You heard it from Dev. Horns down. Take K-State. I'm looking back at a game we talked about a little bit already. I'm looking at Oklahoma +4. I just think them trying to make the case for the playoff, getting 4 points. I think they went outright, but I'll always take 4 points when I can get them, especially in a huge game like this that has such a playoff impact on it. I'll take the Sooners +4 here. let's head over to locks of the week. All four of us went 2-1 last week, so that's a pretty good week. Hopefully, those listening were able to take a lot of those picks from us. Deb, you want to start us off?
Sure. First pick, and I hate to do this, but I'm fading Sparty, and I'm taking Penn State -1.5, and it has more to do with Michigan State's really banged up right now. Walker isn't 100%. His ankle is not healthy. Rumor has it Jaden Reed's not playing this week. He hurt his ankle or foot last week in the Ohio State game. Didn't play the second half. He hasn't been practicing. Naylor's coming back from a broken finger or hand. So if he plays, he won't even be close to 100%. They're reeling right now. Their left tackle Horst is out for the year, I believe, or definitely not going to play this week. He's by far their best lineman. I mean, they're struggling getting to the finish line. Penn State's still, playing for something. I think rumor has it James Franklin is signing a 10-year deal. He's going to be there a while, which I'm happy about because I think he's overrated. But I just think Penn State is the better team right now, and they come in and win by a touchdown or so in an ugly, sloppy game. Second pick is going to be the South Carolina Clemson under 42.5. Like I said earlier, DJ Ugabuga, he's banged up right now. He's not looking good. He looked good against Wake, but everyone looks good against Wake. So South Carolina's got some juice right now. They're going bowling. I think their defense is good enough to hold Clemson. I think it's like a 21-14 type game. Take the under there. Last pick is Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan over 64. Classic Maction shootout. Central, Pimpleton, their receiver, absolute stud, electric, fun to watch. Their running back is also very underrated, one of the best running backs in the country, I think, from Detroit. And those are my three plays. Penn State -1.5, South Carolina Clemson under, Eastern Central over. Okay.
All right, I'll go next. Dev, I forgot to give you a quick shout out. You're still in first place for the locks of the week segment at 18, 11, and 1. So good job. I'm only a couple games behind you, so hopefully I can catch up this week. Hoping for a Michigan State win, of course. That'll be good for us Sparty fans and good for me in this podcast locks of the week segment. So I'll start off with Tulsa +7. They're playing for a bowl game. They're at 5 wins, looking for that magical number 6 against an SMU team who just got blown out by Cincinnati. We talked about that a little bit. SMU was on fire to start the year. I think they were ranked at one point. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they've lost 4 in a row or 3 in a row at least. They're just really down right now, really defeated. And I think Tulsa comes and brings the heat, looking to make this year's bowl season. Again, I'll take them with the 7 points. Next, BYU -7 at USC. Talk about another team who is just completely deflated. They have nothing left to play for. They only have 4 wins this year. They can't make it to the postseason. I think they just kind of run through the motions here. BYU's playing really well as of late. I'll take them -7. And then lastly, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm backing a team I faded all year long, and I've been very profitable doing. Southern Miss -10 against FIU, another team we've been fading all year long. FIU is the worst team in Division I. And Frank Gore Jr. for Southern Miss, he's just been lights out these last couple of weeks. Southern Miss has been playing well too. They covered against UTSA. They covered again last week. I think they're going to come in. Frank Gore Jr. is going to knock them out, just like his dad's going to do to Darren Williams next month. Give me Southern Miss -10. James, let's move over to you. Who you got?
I'm going to start here with the Big Ten matchup, Wisconsin at Minnesota. I'm going to lay the points with Wisconsin. It's -6.5, floating around -7. This is a straight up backing of Wisconsin. I mean, I think it's going to be a close game. I mean, it's a rivalry, trophy game, but this is just Wisconsin doing what Wisconsin does. They rounded into form as the year went on, started off real shaky. I mean, Mertz, we thought was potentially and still might be one of the worst quarterbacks in the Big Ten, but he's kind of found a little bit more of a rhythm. Their running game is peaking right now. And Minnesota, when they play against a pretty good defense, they just don't seem to do very well. So I think this game's gonna be close pretty much all the way through, and then Wisconsin ends up putting it away. I think late, probably wins by 2 scores, probably 10 or 14, I would imagine. With a late touchdown, they cover. So take them -6.5. I'm going to go Kent State money line at home against Miami, Ohio. This game is basically for a trip to the MAC championship, and I'm just taking the home team in this one. And Kent State has the unbelievably fast offense. I think they are starting to figure things out now. So they're undefeated at home. Miami, Ohio, not very good on the road. I think they're 1-4 or something like that this year. So I'm just going to back the Golden Flashes here and take a money line. I think it's -1.5, -2, whatever, but I'll just take a money line. My third game is Louisville, Kentucky, over 57.5. That's what this line came out as. It hasn't moved, which is kind of surprising to me, considering when you watch that game, Kentucky, I don't know if they stopped Tennessee's offense one time. So I think Louisville their offense is pretty electric, and I think they get up and down the field and score enough points. And Kentucky, when they want to, they can also move the ball with their quarterback there. So I see that one hitting over no problem, over 57.5. So those are my picks.
Love that Kent State pick. I've only got one football open bet out right now, and it's Kent State money line after we talked earlier today, James. So I'm back to pick with you for sure. Jordan, finish us out for locks of the week.
Yeah, first play is a ACC showdown, North Carolina versus NC State. I'm taking the over 62. Two good offenses going at it. I see both teams scoring, in the 30s, potentially even in the 40s. So that's got showdown written all over it. Lock in the over. Next play we talked about earlier, Cincy -14 against East Carolina. I think they win. They're in the playoff, but I think to comfortably be in the playoff, they have to make a statement. So I think they roll this week. And then my last play is Memphis -6 against Tulane, which originally I think I leaned Tulane, just being that I think they're a lot better than what the record has shown, only having 2 wins on the year. But Memphis, they're fighting for a bowl game like we talked about earlier, get bowl eligible. And I believe they're at home. So I think they win by more than a touchdown in a big week for them. So, yeah, those are my 3 plays. Let's lock it in and stay hot.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that North Carolina State game. That'll be just a good game to watch. And I agree with Memphis. I really think that going for that 6th win to become bowl eligible just really isn't talked about enough from a betting perspective. It's completely underrated. So I like that pick a lot too, Jordan. So our Siege VIP free play for this week, we're taking Louisville -2.5. Our clients have already gotten that. So make sure you jump on that before that moves. We're buying Louisville low and selling Kentucky very high. So that'll do it for us on this last regular season episode of the Siege podcast. Let us know on Twitter at PickSiege your locks of the week. Don't forget, $25 gets you all of our remaining college football plays for both conference championship week and all of bowl season. So remember, always gamble responsibly. Let's cash some tickets. Join us next week for our conference championship episode. Thanks for listening.
Siege coming.